know, this is like the greatest thing. Stuff your pockets with cash.
I wouldn't say you're a tool.
Did you just pet the goldfish?
No!
No! Oh, come on!
Brian's guest today is Andrew Salzbrun, a Cincinnati-based entrepreneur and personal friend of Brian's. Wow, somebody get that guy a beer.
Well, hey, thanks for coming to Brian Brings a Beer. I brought these beers to people, just gave them. I've never had these. I think these are called a Pilgrim.
Pilgrim?
Pilgrim? No.
That's pretty good.
That is. For number one, it's a beer flavored beer, so I like that, you know? Because all these beers are not beer flavored. Well, what am I tasting in there? What are the notes in there? Is that a citrus in there?
I should know this better. There's a little bit of citrusy hops in there.
Yeah, all right.
I can cheat and look off the board over here too.
Part of how you got to be a good entrepreneur, I know, is that you had this at an early age, and I've always been fascinated.
Yeah.
Maybe we can retell how your dad helped you become an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So my earliest business, I think it was like 8 or 9, maybe a little bit older than that, but a guy up the street asked if I could cut the grass for him. He paid me $20, and so I ran to my dad and said, hey, look, going up the street, cut the grass, take the lawnmower out. I'm halfway down the driveway, and he said, what are you doing? That's my lawnmower. You can rent it from me. I said, okay, how much? He said, $2 or whatever it was. So then I start filling it up with gas, and he goes, by the way, that's my gas. You can buy that from me. You can look at that scenario and be like, man, your dad's a hard ass on that, which, whatever, that's fine. But I walked away from it, and I understood at a very early age, you gotta spend some money to make money, and I was able to, save accordingly and spend accordingly from an early age, and that set a really early foundation for me.
That was wise of your dad. He probably just gave you a appreciation of capital.
Absolutely. Well, and it forced me, too, to take care of my tools.
I hadn't talked to you for a while. My schedule has been just totally nutso. And I don't know why I didn't think it was you. You're one of the main forces behind Blink. So give us a brief rundown on what Blink was.
Yeah, so Blink was a 4-night art, light, and projection mapping festival that ran 20 city blocks from the Banks, which is on our riverfront, up to Findlay Market, which is one of our emerging markets. So ran north to south, 20 city blocks. 4 nights of programming. The entire thing was completely free and open to the public. It was a really neat weekend where there weren't any rules and there weren't any preconceived notions of what downtown is supposed to be. And so just to allow people to wonder and imagine, and also see parts of the city that either they've never been to in general or certainly wouldn't set foot in at night, to explore the place that they grew up with in a completely different way.
So are you going to do it again?
That's what we're working on right now. We'd like to. I don't know if it's going to happen next year. I mean, we've been planning this for 3 years, and it cost a minimum of $3 million, and there's no city funding, and there's no revenue model on it, too. The entire thing's free and open to the public. When you're building a business or a marriage or an event, you cobble this thing together with what you think is going to go well and what you think you're going to want to happen. And at some point, though, you got to let that go and cast that into reality and see what happens.
Speaking of marriage, you just got married.
I did.
Right now, 8 months in, is it what you would have expected 8 months ago? Is it different? I'm not saying better or worse. I'm just going are you dealing with the challenges you thought you'd deal with, and you have the wins you thought you have?
Yeah.
Or are they all different?
Yeah, I know personally I'm dealing with the challenges I thought I would deal with of, putting somebody else before myself.
It only gets better. 8 months was hell for us. 2 months, all the way through 12 months, we were both going, oh my goodness, what in the, and it was only our faith and our commitment to each other, the vow that we made, that I think really kept us in it and kept us in the fight. And it's just better every year. I'm telling you, you have fewer fights, and you have better sex too. You get older and you have more wrinkles and you have more dimples where you shouldn't have dimples, and you have, physically you're not what you were when you were 22, speaking for both of us, but yet that matters less.
Yeah.
Because it's much more of an emotional, spiritual thing, and so there's a bit more freedom there. There's also freedom if it doesn't go very well. Stuff goes wrong sometimes you have sex. Sometimes you can't when you want to.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
And when you're younger and less rooted in your relationship and less secure, those things can be catastrophic.
Sure.
When you get older, it's like, honey, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen today. No big deal.
Right.
And
Got another
away we
30
go.
years to figure this out.
Yeah, it's but when we were younger, it was more about the sex. When the older you get, the more it gets about the relationship, and the sex beautifies the relationship.
Oh, that's great. To circle back to Blink, and we haven't gotten our final numbers in, but we know with certainty that it was the largest event in the history of Cincinnati.
What does my sex life have to do with blinking, by the way? Are you saying that it's over in Blink?
I've come to talk with you again.
Because I'm trying to say?
I mean, I'm not.
Why does my sex life remind you of Blink? I'm offended at that.
Because the lights have to be off the entire time.
Okay, all right. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Yes.
I can rattle these back and forth.
All right, good. That's very good.
What would you say on that platform?
Yeah, that's great.
To have that microphone.
The old school preacher in me would say, "Oh, if you've got that many people together, you gotta have a stage with a gospel presentation."
Right.
Maybe. I just think there's something beautiful about people having fun together. I think there's something redemptive.
Yeah.
I think Jesus would have gone to a place like that without feeling a need to preach. So he was just enjoying the fact that people were enjoying each other. Hey, how about in America we just enjoy each other and think that's kind of a work of God, because everyone's always kind of going against each other. So I think that's probably a good work of God for you to simply have an event that brings people together.
What drove you in the BMW parts that said, here's what I've learned and here's where I think I can do this better?
Oh, Andrew, you're referring to a part I invented and made a lot of money off of. So.
Pastor, inventor, world-class leader, just piling on the LinkedIn.
Piling it on, just trying to make my resume longer and longer, make myself feel good about myself. Yeah. It was fascinating you bring that up. So, saw a problem with the motorcycle. The cap that's on top of those stanchions, that has a stud that goes through to it, can work itself loose. So I've invented this product. Here we have an appropriately installed stanch clamp. And I just have a Facebook page and word of mouth, and I just start selling things. I'll tell you what, I miss your job. I wish I had your job many, many times.
What'd you think of the beer?
I mean, apparently he liked it, so there's that.
I like the beer. Yeah, I liked it. I wouldn't say, oh man, I'm going to that place just so I can have the Pilgrim. Well, listen here, Pilgrim. There's beer connoisseurs, and then there's beer sewers. I'm like a sewer, that's good.
Hey, if you like Brian Brings a Beer, subscribe right now, right here, or share with a buddy you think would also dig it. Click away.